Breaking news in baseball, Angels All-Star Mike Trout has a fracture in his wrist. That news confirmed today. He is now headed to the 10-day IL, but could be out potentially much longer. We do anticipate him to be out much longer than that. Was injured fouling off a pitch in the 8th inning against the Padres Monday night. The three-time MVP recently named to his 11th All-Star team, but will miss his 3rd consecutive All-Star game with an injury. For more on this breaking news, let's welcome in MLB insider Jim Bowden. Jim, we were able to talk to you earlier today before he went on the 10-day IL. And he said, look, this is very concerning. He's definitely going to go on that, potentially be out longer. And sure enough, here it is. Why were you so concerned about this injury when it came to Mike Trout?
Well, I had been in contact with the Angels front office, and in fact, I just finished texting back and forth with Perry Manassian, the general manager of the Los Angeles Angels. And he said when they did all of their tests, they found that the left hamate bone was fractured. Unfortunately, that means he's probably going to be out somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks. So there's a huge setback for the Los Angeles Angels, who are 3 games back in the wild card race. And they're trying to win to try to keep Shohei Ohtani, who's a free agent at the end of the year. And the sad part, as we talked earlier today, Amanda, Mike Trout was locked in over the last 15 games. He had 4 homers, 7 RBIs, was hitting .333. I mean, he was just an on-base machine. So this is a huge setback for them, as you can imagine. I asked Perry Manassian how they were going to replace him on the roster. He texted me back that, in fact, as we speculated earlier today, Joe Adell will be the one that replaces him on the roster. They've already called him up. 23 home runs for Adell in the minor league so far this year. That is the most homers of any minor league outfielder. He was a top prospect several years ago, but has never lived up to those expectations at the big league level. So for him, it's kind of now or never. Here's an opportunity for him to make a name for himself, and the Angels need him extremely badly to get into this lineup and start doing damage, because they're not the same team without Trout. And one last point to keep in mind here, Amanda, is that when Trout's not in the lineup, it gives teams the reason to pitch around Shohei Ohtani, gives them the reason to intentionally walk him in certain situations that you wouldn't normally get to do when Mike Trout is in the lineup. So it's not just about losing Trout and the production that he brings every single day, but it's the effect that he has on the rest of the lineup. And I don't think there's any question they're going to feel this loss for the next month.
Every time that Mike Trout has been out before, they've had losing records so far this season when he's been out there 6-1. So that's the good news there. But you talked about all the bad news that comes with this injury. 3 games out of the wild card spot right now, 6 games behind the Rangers in their division. I mean, how do you foresee this playing out? Yes, you got Joe Adell coming up. You mentioned kind of hot and cold when it comes to him. So potentially, how do you see this affecting the Angels when it comes to the postseason?
Well, I mean, they've hit with so many injuries, right? This isn't the first injury. They've lost Brandon Drury and Anthony Rendon and Zach Nato. I mean, this is something this team has had to withstand the entire year. It seems like every time they start to get one player healthy, another one goes on the IL. And to your point, there's a lot at stake this particular year with the Angels because of Ohtani. Now, the Angels, even today, say they're not going to trade Ohtani. I mean, they're saying it off the record. They're saying it on the record. But one has to wonder, if they fall apart in the month of July, and if they were to fall, say, 10 games out come August 1st, I find it hard to believe, if they can't extend Ohtani, that they won't at least entertain offers on possibly trading him. So I think the drama is just going to start building here. And I think really what the Angels need, quite frankly, is they need someone like Adell to step up and do the unexpected if they're going to stay in this playoff race.
When it comes to Shohei Ohtani, I mean, put us in that front office position. You talked a little bit about it there. I mean, what are you doing, Jim? You've been in these positions before, sort of. You didn't have Shohei Ohtani on your team, but you're sitting down with your team and you're going over, okay, this is our timeline here over the next couple months.
Yeah, I think, the important thing that you want to try to do is they want to try to retain Ohtani. Now, the cost of Ohtani is going to at least be $500 million, right? Somewhere between 500 and 600 million is what most general managers think he's going to get on the open market. So if the Angels are willing to go that far, I think you've got to keep negotiating with him between now and the trade deadline, and you hope you can extend them. If you can't extend them, you have to look at where you are in the standings. Can you realistically, in the last 2 months of the season, get to the playoffs? If you think you can, then you hold on to him and you try to go for it with the ideas, if you can get to the playoffs, maybe Shohei will sign with you as a free agent in November. But if you get there and you're not in the hunt and you can't sign him, it would be foolish not to listen to what you can get, because Ohtani would bring back a huge package of young players and prospects. And I think it improves your chances of signing Ohtani if you can get a load for him at the trade deadline and then go back and try to re-sign him. You can tell him, hey, look, we're much improved because we traded you and we still want to have you here. So I think the story is just beginning now, but the Trout injury does bring a new wrinkle none of us was expecting to happen.
Very unfortunate when it comes to the Angels, and then also the business of baseball. Jim Bowden, we appreciate it there, saying that Mike Trout will be out much longer than that 10-day IL, potentially out 6 to 8 weeks. So when it comes to the Angels, they are in fact playing today. We'll show you that schedule here in a second. But we were talking about the Angels with and without Mike Trout. Now, so far this season, they've been okay, 6-1, so that's pretty good. But you look at the past 2 seasons there without him, 20-25, 60-66. They definitely prefer to have him on the team.